And so if the oil flows from the head, then it's got to go down to the skirts of the robe. So you've got to be reflective of the same oil as your pastor, and that should be reduced to your capacity to speak in tongues. Wow. But how are you able to flourish? How are you able to thrive? Before I was a pastor, I was a National Youth and College Director at the NAACP for 6 years under then the Honorable Kwesi Mfume. And under that, I was charged with directing 70,000 young people around the country. And I use that as an intro to my remarks today. The NAACP is roughly around 118 years old. And a quick Google search will tell and inform and educate you that in the history of the NAACP, the Klan, the Ku Klux Klan, has never bombed an NAACP office. I'm dropping that there and I'm coming to get it. The Ku Klux Klan has never bombed a Rainbow Push office. Has never bombed an Urban League office. Pastor, I'm lost. What are you telling me? But they bombed Black Wall Street. White supremacy is not unnerved by speeches.
That's right.
They are disturbed by cash registers.
Economics.
And when you make an economic impact, that's when you're doing real revolutionary work.
That's right.
Please understand that even the Dixie South was really not shaken by water fountains, or by lunch cafeterias, or by placements on a bus. When Dr. King was assassinated, he was in the midst of galvanizing the Poor People's Campaign. After the passing of the Civil Rights Bill, in private conversation with Harry Belafonte, Dr. King said, I am afraid I've integrated the Negro into a burning house. What is the point of the Negro sitting at a lunch counter if he doesn't have money for a hamburger? Because the next progressive step after civil rights is silver rights. And if we do not understand that the real issue is not white or black, but it is green, then you are missing the frontier that we're presently on.
That's right.
I came into a national news 6 weeks ago because in the middle of tongue-in-cheek, a Black History program at the White House, they started holding up signs with my face on it. Yeah. And I'm coming through Atlanta's airport and my phone is blowing up saying, Rev, get to a TV because you need to see they're holding up signs with your face on it in the White House for a Black History program. And so I'm Nikki Giovanni, ego tripping, thinking they honoring me at the White House. So I'm trying to find a TV because I tell Mama I done made it. That they honor me at the White House only to discover that they were jeering me. And I couldn't understand, as critical thinkers as you are, why they have 3 pictures of me on signs at the White House. So you have to ask yourself critical questions. How did signs on sticks get through security? How did Secret Service okay it? How is this permissible, hear this, in the library of the White House? And critical questions, sisters, you all are in the room. How do they have no pictures of Jasmine Crockett? No pictures of Maxine Waters. No pictures of Ben Crump. No pictures of Hakeem Jeffries. Why is a picture of a pastor from Georgia up in the White House? 2 things that you need to be aware of. They did not pull the signs out until they announced the confirmation of the new FBI director.
Wow.
So as soon as he is confirmed and they announce he's confirmed, they pull out pictures of me at the White House and start chanting, hold him accountable. Now this is 2 weeks after I announce a boycott of Target.
Wow.
Yeah. So it is about where are you with economics.
Wow.
I need you to understand for the spirit and the prism that we are presently in, I need you all to understand that this room is now a terror cell.
Wow.
I want you all to think this is a warm and fuzzy gathering.
Yeah.
Somewhere in your midst is an informant.
Wow.
Yeah, because if you are thinking about the economic liberation of our people, and they understand that that is the next frontier under a president that only recognizes commerce, that in the middle of the inauguration, in front of cabinet appointees are the wealthiest people in America. So Elon Musk becomes the de facto co-president with no experience, no legislative experience, with no congressional hearing, with no swearing in, with no written authorization, because he is the wealthiest.
Yeah.
This nation only understands money. It only understands money, and as a consequence, our conversation, our dialogue, our discourse, and our engagement is a threat to the establishment. As a consequence of me leading this boycott against Target, they have lost somewhere in the orbit of $8 billion in evaluation. 6 weeks. Their stock, when I started on Ash Wednesday, was $145 a share. As of 3 o'clock this afternoon, it is at $93 a share.
Yeah.
Their foot traffic has dropped by 7.9%. Their online shopping has gone down by 9.7%. Why am I telling you this? I am telling you this because the danger is that we actually wake up and realize how powerful we are as the 12th wealthiest nation on the planet. Of $2 trillion, hear this, of spending power.
That's right.
Spending power, ladies and gentlemen, got nothing to do with your rent.
That's right.
Has nothing to do with your car note. Has nothing to do with your insurance. That is what you have in discretionary income. And we have never mobilized it.
Yeah.
I want you to understand how dangerous a position we're in and how backwards we are in this moment that I began this movement against Target 70 years after the Montgomery bus boycott that was 381 days long. 70 years, and I want you to see how far we've come and how backwards we are.
Wow.
How far we've come, how backwards we are. Third time for extra emphasis, how far we've come and how backwards we are. That 70 years after the Montgomery bus boycott, we as Negroes are proud to be in Costco. That we don't even have a black establishment 70 years later. Forget it even being national. Can you imagine that the Gathering Spot has more locations than any black big box vending business? So we have a place that we can gather, that we can think, that we can co-work space, that we can share, that we can eat. But where is it for us to do business? So I came here an hour early just so that I could go through the vending spaces because I did not just want to be a talker, I have to demonstrate it. Last weekend we did something novel and important. I was talking to a young scholar who's here from London, Elijah, raise your hand. He's working on his doctorate in economics. And I said to him that I had to be intentional because the black church is at least 30 years out of space. Black Lives Matter, for those of you who are in DC, was a critical moment for the civil rights movement, because Black Lives Matter is the very first civil rights movement for black people in America, listen to me, that was not, one, birthed out of the church, and two, did not have a spiritual leader at the front. And the black church had to confront its own hypocrisy because they didn't want to support same gender loving sisters. So as a consequence, you have an entire generation that will not come to the church because the black church is perceived to be out of pocket, out of touch, and have an elevated form of dissociative disorder. And so when we came in and called it a target fast and brought a spiritual principle to a social epidemic, it made the church then now have to respond. Pastor, why did you call it a fast and not a boycott, not a protest? And I'll tell you why transparently in that space. I am reticent about calling for public civic engagement if it is now a federal offense to touch a Tesla. There are two different movements happening in America right now. It's the Tesla movement and the Target movement. Hey, yes, TNT. Law and Order comes on at 9 o'clock. So if you have to think with a rational and critical mind what is taking place around you that you have not really localized, is that they keep poking the bear, waiting for us to respond. If it is a federal capital offense to vandalize a Tesla, watch this you all, because you're in the room, y'all are thinking people. And then it's amazing, you all seeing thousands of people on TikTok and on Instagram protesting outside of dealerships and no arrests. Now, just this motley crew that's in this room, I already checked it because y'all claim to be revolutionary. 0.08 miles from here is a Target. Now, if y'all so inspired and on fire and you want to walk down there together, I'm going with you till we get there. Because there's some things as strategists and as activists that you're going to have to consider is we now have the precedent for our dear brother in El Salvador that you can be arrested and deported without charges and being citizens. So if we call for a National Day of Marching on Target, the whole landscape is getting ready to shift. They're already feeling the impact through picketing out of your pocketbook. Elevating and amplifying our voices is the next phase, but it is the next phase after it is that we have exhausted all other options. I met with the president and CEO of Target on last Wednesday, and I went under the cloak of anonymity because the administration asked Target not to meet with me. So you all saw on the news a week ago that the president met with Reverend Sharpton. I was in that meeting, but it couldn't be publicized.
Oh, wow.
Great job.
It is interesting for you to know that 48 hours after that meeting, he went and met with Trump. And since that moment, we've not been able to get him on the phone.
Oh, wow.
It's a whole, y'all got me antsy with all these cameras in here. It's a whole another layer of activism that we all are getting ready to approach. Well, brothers and sisters, it's hard for us to even fathom. We just 90 days in.
Wow.
We 90 days in. In case you all didn't see it yesterday, they dropped yesterday at 12 noon merch for Trump 2028.
Oh, shit.
It is on the White House website when it is unconstitutional for him to run, and they dropped it on the White House website.
They don't care about Constitution.
Yes, that's my point. And so I am having to use a 70-year-old model of economic development that goes back to the Montgomery bus boycott, hear this, which predates Instagram, predates TikTok. We have always had to deal with racism, but never pronouncedly from the Oval Office. And so what it is that we are called to do and how it is that we move is so stridently significant that we're going to have to work smarter and harder on how it is that we upend it. I want to share with you the 4 things that we have asked of Target, and then I can't see my brother in the dark. The 4 things that I've asked of Target, and then unpack for you why it is that we've asked for those 4 things so that you understand the science behind it, and then I'll yield in the time that is left to me for us to just have a conversation as family. The first thing that we ask for is that, in case you don't know, Target is headquartered in the same city George Floyd was killed, Minneapolis. And when George Floyd was killed, the president of Target, under no pressure, under no demand, out of no protest, the president of Target released a statement and said George Floyd could have been one of my employees. And because he's could have been one of my employees, here's what Target pledged on their own is we want to give $2 billion to black business. And we want to do it by 2025. That's number 1. January, Donald Trump is installed as president, and 4 days later, Target announces they will no longer honor the pledge.
Yeah.
That's number 1. Number 2 is black people, and I need you all to have this so that you can tell your friends and your family. Black people embarrassingly spend $12 million a day at Target. Did y'all hear what I just said? You should have a nosebleed and an aneurysm right there. $12 million a day, and I can't find a black business that amasses that amount a day. $12 million a day. Because they collect $12 million a day out of black hands, I've asked them to deposit $250 to $350 million into black banks so that black entrepreneurs could have access to capital and that we would have a greater access to black home ownership. That's number 2. Number 3, for those of you who do not know, is Target has stores on 27 college campuses. On 27 college campuses, and not one is on an HBCU. So I've asked them to partner with 6 HBCU business programs to finance those business programs so that the next generation would know how to scale business to a national level, and so that we could forge and frame actual competition so we wouldn't have to redirect Negroes to Costco. 4th is out of the altruism of our black DNA is a reformation or a reimagining of DEI, given that DEI does not benefit black people first, second, third, or fourth.
Right.
Yeah. So the number 1 recipient of DEI is white women. Second is the Latino Hispanic community. Third is for those who are physically challenged. And then is African Americans. I am proud to announce to you all in this space that Target has agreed to meet the $2 billion pledge to black businesses, and they have to do it by July 31st. And we have it in writing. So we're able to cross that bridge. We still have 3 more, and we're asking people not to go in until we get those other 3 done and met. It is a critical place. I live in Atlanta, and I live in Atlanta is the only place where the largest amount of homeowners is black women.
Wow.
Y'all just missed that. Black women are the largest homeowners in Atlanta. Pastor, why are you sharing that with us? Because I say that to MAGA and to Republicans, is that if it is based off of meritocracy as the replacement for DEI, then black women should be the overwhelming majority of CEOs of Fortune 500 companies because they have the education and the wherewithal, but have not been given the opportunity.
Amen.
Of the Fortune 500, blacks are only in the orbit of 6 to 8. Did y'all hear what I just said? 6 to 8. And so when we're talking about a revolution in a post-pandemic Trump American reality, it is going to be built on the back and on the sweat of economic development. And so what we have seen in terms of leadership heretofore was orators. Leadership in this iteration will have to come from investors. It is those who have the mind towards economics who are going to have to craft the plan on how it is that we forage our way into a different reality. As a consequence, I came to that church, as I shared with you all, and all it is that we had was a gym and a sanctuary. We just got a permit 3 months ago to build 150 houses on our property.
Wow.
And here's the catch. We are only selling those houses to millennials. Only selling those houses to millennials to begin a new wave of home ownership. Because it's only black people that have housewarming parties at apartments. So we want to change what it is. How you registered at an apartment. So we want to change what that narrative is. We were able to craft that deal under the Biden administration so that we would not find ourselves liable against age discrimination. Our second phase is we're going to build at the end of 2026. We'll begin senior housing, the first of its kind, for those of you who are developers. And I know you're here from all over the DMV, all over the country. Are you here? I'm going to give you a quick principle on how it is that you can make money. I'm giving it to you for free because I'm not a developer. Pull people together and figure it out. I shared a couple of weeks ago. This is the very first time in American history, where there are more 60-year-olds than 16-year-olds.
Wow.
Did y'all hear what I just said? There's more 60-year-olds than 16-year-olds. Every day in America, 1 million people turn 65. There are more senior centers than middle schools. 87% of black churches have a youth pastor, and 92% of black churches don't have a seniors pastor.
Wow.
Of the largest demographic, and we don't have anything for them in ministry, nor do we have anything for them in marketplace. So we're doing a first of its kind senior housing in Atlanta. And again, I'm challenging you all to do it. I don't have the copyright on it. Do it. Find investors to do it. And if you're black, it's going to make sense to you. And you're going to raise your eyebrow that nobody ever thought of it. And you're going to be glad you came here because I done gave you the idea. We're doing the first of its kind senior housing. Here's where y'all going to go crazy because it's going to make sense. Because there's no senior housing in America for seniors who have custody of their grandchildren. Yeah. Most senior housing, kids can only stay for the weekend. Then they got to go by Monday. Everybody in this room, 1 out of 4 of your friends was raised by their grandmother. All right? Yeah, but they can't stay with them in a senior facility. And so this creates for us an African model of multi-generational living and wealth that is able to push us into the next capacity. I was in Ghana last summer, and I had this idea. We were incubating and working on it, and I asked them, can you take me to a senior housing facility, because I want to see what it looks like, what y'all are doing over here. I'm on the continent. And they said there's no such thing as senior housing, because we take care of our seniors. We have a different model and mindset of the framing of what family life is supposed to look like. Whatever it is that you curate in your business model, make sure there is a lane and a component for seniors. Because I got to tell you something, it's the best kept secret. Seniors got money. Yeah, I know you're used to your grandmother giving you a crumpled $20 bill, but seniors got money. So you got to figure out in your model of business how it is that you function, how it is that you move in that place. Our third phase of our development is a workspace, mixed housing, and retail space, as well as a different kind of pipeline. And that different kind of pipeline is where it is that I close. I'm a third generation preacher. My grandfather was a presiding bishop of the AME Church. My father's a bishop in the AME Church, and I'm missionary Baptist. I got up after the pandemic and made an announcement to my church that I needed to repent and I needed to apologize. And I want you to hear what I repented for, what I apologized about. I got up and said, in my 52 years of living, I have never seen the black church give a scholarship to a young man who wanted a CDL license. I've never seen the black church give a scholarship to a young woman who wanted to be an esthetician. The black church has adopted W.E.B. Du Bois and thrown away Booker T. Wow. That we have no value for trade. We have no value of how it is that you work with your hands. And we found out in the pandemic that a truck driver can make more money than somebody with a bachelor's. And they got no student loans. Where is our pipeline for those who are working in that space? And how do we value them? How do we make that investment? How do we pull? I went, when I was pastoring in Baltimore, I went with a young man to court who was facing some time. His mom, single mother, asked me to go with him before sentencing to ask for leniency from the judge. And before the young man's case was called, a Jewish boy was facing the judge for stealing a car. And they called the young man, I don't know, his name, Abraham something. Stand up. And when Abraham stood up, half the courtroom stood up. It was all Jewish men.
Wow.
And the rabbi came and stood before the judge and says, I'm Rabbi so-and-so. Abraham is a member of my synagogue. And behind me are all the men of the synagogue. Give him to us, and you'll never see him again. If you ever see him again, give him the harshest penalty, but the men of the community will sign to take responsibility. I was embarrassed because I came by myself and did not have a community. What will happen if we mobilize our faith centers and our men to pull together something for the next generation, for us to figure out what is our safe space of accountability and community? I did something I've never done in my years of pastoring. is Sunday, I raised the offering and told the members of my church that I am raising an offering, hear this, with no vision. I'm raising an offering, and I cannot tell you where it is going. It is just going to be called the Movement Fund. Pastor, what do you mean by that? I had to tell the church, I don't know, with the dismantling of the Department of Education, in September, when there's no longer free lunch, will I have to get church buses and pull the kids from the school and bring them to the church? Or will I have to take church mothers to the school and provide lunch for kids who is the only meal they'll have that day? Those of you who are in the room and you are alumnus of HBCUs, would you raise your hand for me, please? I got to ask you a critical question that I said to my own church is in June, I do not know whether I will have the space to give out college scholarships, or will I have to write the check to HBCUs? Because if they can take $300 million from Johns Hopkins, $500 million from Columbia, $700 million from Harvard, the question that we don't know in September, will HBCUs be able to make payroll? I know a lot of you in this room, like me, are from Ivy League HBCUs like Howard and Hampton and Spelman and Morehouse and A&T. But what do we do for Bethune-Cookman? What do we do for St. Augustine? What do we do for Paul Quinn? What do we do for Wilberforce? How do we safeguard it? The critical question in our economic development in this era and in this hour that I wish I had more time is that I do not want us as diasporic people to reduce the conversation around immigration to Mexico. It's 500,000 unprotected Haitian brothers and sisters right now who don't even know their fate. 5 of my own members from the Bahamas are waiting for deportation in a military jail right now with no media attention. I don't want y'all to think for one moment that they're going to be chartering planes back to Nigeria and Kenya. They are building planes and building prisons in El Salvador. And if we don't have money to bring to the table, then ladies and gentlemen, we'll be on the menu. The revolution will not be televised. It's going to happen at the bank. And the question you got to ask yourself is, are you in line at the ATM or will you make a deposit? I'm grateful for your time. Thank you.